Welcome back, Brother Metamorphosis.
Greetings, brother. Greetings. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Energized, focused, and just so glad to be here with you, the King of Mondays. Which really, when your content is played, it's the king of every day because people absorb. Right, there's no right or wrong time. Whenever you can get it, get it. Metamorphosis is in the house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, greetings to you and the family, brother. It's just always great to connect with you guys. And again, man, another great banner. I admonish everyone to read your description, so that way I don't have to go into a lot of the intricate details with this brother. But what a fascinating man. And, you know, it's just every time that you dig into the lives of these brothers, not just what they invented that changed the world, and sisters, but also what they had to fight against. So give you a point of reference. If you're in the ring, if you're watching a fight, you're not going to say, well, he won every round. You're going to go back and examine each round and look at it and see the challenges that he faced in order to win those rounds. And many times, because of the dominant culture, the high IQ people, because they want to continuously hide the truth about our great inventors that changed not just America, but the entire world, then we have a major challenge when it comes to educating our own children. And again, one of the challenges we face is because a lot of us don't know our own history.
There you go.
So again, brother, I commend you, man, for always, you know, being in a position to present truth for us. And let's just continue what we're doing. And we can get right into our brother today. We can start out with your banner, and we'll go right into it.
Well, as always, the banner has to be self-explanatory pretty much. It tells you the accomplishments, not that they're limited to what you see on the banner, because there's always so much more than what you see. But the basic window, when you climb through that window, the basic door, when you climb through that door and walk through that door, you see so much more, because his amazing life, like all of the other innovators and inventors that you've showcased, is so much more to it. You see, we can show the inventions, we can show the innovations, but what was the blood, sweat, and tears of what they had to go through in America being inventors? You see what I mean? And so you want to breathe the soul into it. So this is to associate what they've accomplished, where many people think that us as a people haven't accomplished anything. And that's the brainwashing that's going on. So we have to put those things, so those who deny our history will say, oh, wow, I didn't know that's how the term the real McCoy was formed. I didn't know Elijah McCoy. Look what he did. He did that. So the more and more that you fill in the voids of what was acceptable to be celebrated in the smallest month of the year, Black History Month, those voids are filled up with so much more that shows you that the public school system and the education system in America and beyond is biased against us, because they've omitted so many great people that our greatness can't be denied if you showed it. You see what I mean? So this is what your mission has been, and for me to serve the mission that you were born to execute. And this is why it's a joy for me to take time and sit down and help to make the presentation, get the table ready, where you use your chef abilities to put the good food on the plate so we can digest it and rise to a higher level.
Well, brother, you're using fine china today. because I don't know of any other way to describe, and again, greetings to you and the family, but I really don't know any other way to describe such a tremendous human being. And it's unfortunate that we cannot express these type of things in an educational, a traditional education no sense, because as you and I were talking earlier with your mission, is it's not just educating Black people, but it's educating the world, because other kids, when you hear other children from other cultures, they have no idea about Black history.
Exactly.
Only what they have seen in the history books. And you know, we always say that, yes, it's Black history, but American history is Black history.
Right.
Or more to the point, Black history is American history. You cannot separate, for instance, his particular invention, which he used the second law of thermodynamics, dealing with heat, energy, you know what I mean, pressure.
Yes.
And steam. He understood these, and so he didn't have to use the language that they use to confuse people in a lot of different areas. But and this is real about so many of our people, where we have this spiritual, natural connection with nature. And because we're kinesthetic learners, we can put our hands on something and see it.
Yes.
And so we're going to deep dive into this brother today. His story is fascinating. You know, one of the things that is different with him is his parents, sort of like Henry Boyd, escaped slavery in Kentucky through the Underground Railroad and ended up in Ontario, Canada, right? And he was born there. Now, one of the other fascinating things about his life is that, and this points to something that we see readily and have to deal with all of the time, even in today's world, it's sort of like almost worse, because we're living in so-called modern times, but we're operating off of ancient principles when it comes to basic human nature and innovation. But at the age of 15 years old, he had already demonstrated his ability to separate things, tear them down, and put them back together, which is the basic skill level that an engineer must be able to have. In other words, not just to look at the outside or the finished product, like you like to say, but to look at the intricate details, sort of like in a spiritual sense. When you look beyond religion, you're looking at the etheric spirit, not a narrative of what's being told to you. Right. So because he couldn't get into any institutions, and because at this time Europe was a leader in the field of engineering in terms of, in terms of so-called modern day education. But when you look back into our history, particularly in Kemet, you see this engineering or ingenuity, right? Like the pyramids and the obelisks or the Tekenu, and so many other brilliant engineering feats that was done by Black people that other people down through the centuries and the millennia has rewritten the narrative and taken credit for it themselves. But when he went to, his parents sent him at 15 years old to the UK. I think it was the University of Edinburgh, which at that time, again, was at the forefront of modern engineering, or so-called modern engineering. But the brilliance that he exhibited and learning the basic principles behind the gift that he had, because a lot of times this is behind the principle of planting, sowing, and reaping, where you have to have fertile soil, which was his parents, and also where he trained academically. Then you have to have water, and you have to have sunshine. And so you look at these principles and you see that his gift was water, it was given sunshine, and it was planted in fertile soil. Because certainly he would not have been able to accomplish this in America in terms of his academic training. And one of the other stories that we know so well is that upon arriving back in America, and people like me and you, Lance, and other people in the family, we know this too well, because when you have a gift, then immediately the Azul system is going to block you.
Exactly.
Particularly if you're not afraid to give that gift to the world. Because again, there is a price to pay, you know, and what gets me is our people can look at things like, oh, well, you know, he was nailed on the cross for our sins and blood was shed and all of this. But you can't look at our brothers and sisters who are God and goddesses, okay, whose abilities transform into reality the narratives that you have been given, which is amazing. And again, yeah. I'll use a couple examples that we have right in front of us, where our people have been hoodwinked about real spiritual gifts. When Yeshua was said, not only will you cause the blind to see, but greater gifts will you do. And here our sister Patricia Bath comes along and opens the eyes of people who have been blind for 30 years. This is not religion. This is real spirituality being manifested.
Tell it.
Okay. Yes. So we have been miseducated, not just in education, but in religion as well. And it blocks us from actually being proud of who we are and taking these gifts, as we'll see today what this brother did, to move society and the world forward, not backwards, or make America great again. Because you can't make something great, nature teaches us, when you go in reverse. Because everything in nature points upward and manifests upward. From the seed to the tree, to the branches, to the flowers, okay, or to the fruit. Everything goes upward. If you see something going backwards or downwards, that is in direct opposition to divine laws, which the Creator has put on this planet. So after he got back to America, he worked as a fireman, I believe, on the railroads, right? And basically, it's not like the traditional fireman that we see today. Back in those days, trains could only move maybe a couple of miles, okay, before they had to stop. Someone had to get up and shovel coal into the furnace, right? Which he did. So here we see the Creator training him for his larger purpose. And this is something we miss too, because people are having us to look at other things. Okay, but when you're in a training ground, you have to be aware that this training is necessary for you to move to the next level. This is the reason behind the germination process. Something just doesn't grow overnight. Okay, and this process has been taken away from us, because when you look back into antiquity, many of our people understood this and comprehended this process through nature. Okay, so what he figured out was, okay, if we have to do this at every stop, okay, this is something that is going to keep us. What's up, Queens? This is something that's going to keep us in the dark ages, okay? But here you have someone that was chosen by the Creator to bring this gift into the world to move America and the world forward. And that's why I often say America has been given many opportunities to make it right. And because they refuse, because they stand opposed to the children of the Creator Creatrix, then what we see manifesting today is in direct opposition. And then people have the nerve to sit around, well, God, why does God allow it? No, it's not that. It's the law of polarity, which you have to comprehend. And as long as you want to keep kumbayaing with people who are against divine laws, you're going to have problems.
Tell it. Brother,
yeah, so this is, yes, sir.
And Sister Queen Diane said, which is in perfect tandem with all that you're saying. She said, integration with these people didn't do nothing but slow us down. Our people are so brilliant, and there's no telling where we would have been. And the other comment was, it's no telling where our people would be if they would just leave us alone. We can do so much more for the world. You see?
There you go. Perfect, Queen Diane. That is a perfect analogy of the situation. So that immediately throws up red flags. So why is it, and I like to use this analogy all the time, Lance, you know this. If I'm in game 7 in the NBA, I'm not going to have my best players on the bench, okay? I am not. They're going to be on the floor the whole 48 minutes, if possible. But now America has these great people who have melanin that allows electromagnetic power to flow through them, but you're blocking it because you want to be seen as someone equal to the Creator. And you know that story they tell about why there was a fall from heaven because some entity wanted to be like the Creator. That's all garbage, bro. Okay? We have active people that we can look at that have played this role that they have described to you to put the blame on some fictitious being. And I'm not saying evil doesn't exist. I'm just telling you that the reason why these narratives were created is absolutely to confuse people about the real purpose that Black people have on this planet and in America. So eventually it got to a point where, okay, we can't keep doing this. It would take, what's up, brother? All right, getting that food ready. It would take 4 to 5 days sometimes just to get 10 miles to deliver something. Many a times the food would spoil, okay, or anything could happen. But it took a tremendous amount of physical energy for men to keep shoving. Just look at it this way. You are driving your vehicle on an empty tank, but you have a little reserve, right? But you don't know when that reserve is going to run out. It's already in the red. So in order for that not to happen, you're going to have to stop at a gas station to put more gas in the tank if you want to go further. So that is the situation that existed during this time. He had close to 60 patents, all of them surrounding lubrication. And we can take a look at the first video, brother, while we go into our brother's life.
Yeah, sure.
You know, whichever one you put up there, I'll go with. But here we see, again, yes, here we see when he got back to America, he was unable to use the engineering certificate that he earned at Edinburgh University, okay, as a teenager, matter of fact. So this is his big invention, the drip cup, which is responsible for lubricating mechanical parts so that they won't overheat or so that they won't cause any damage to the mechanical parts. In the beginning, it was just the locomotive, right? Now, one way to look at this in our physical bodies is that when you're, a lot of people have problems with their hips or knees, especially if you're an old jock like me. But one of the reasons why you have, because the cartilage and the muscle is torn away or grinded down, and now you got bone on bone, right?
Yeah.
So this is what the situation was when he looked at how things operated with the locomotives. So this one invention absolutely revolutionized, okay, the industry, the transportation industry. And it did much more than that, because it wasn't just the locomotives. It was also the steamboats now. There were machines that were in factories that now could produce more at a more productive and efficient rate. So, and he used the second law of thermodynamics without the language that they use, to teach people about this. He had this gift naturally, again, like the majority of our people have some gift, okay, that we're not using, simply because someone told you that you need to do this, okay, in order to be successful in life. Okay.
Exactly.
So what's amazing about this is it immediately transformed the transportation industry, because now you have oil that can lubricate the locomotives, the steamboats, or what have you, without them having to stop every 3 or 4 miles to oil the mechanical wheels or whatever mechanism needed to be oiled in order to continue, as well as throwing the coal in the furnace to produce steam. So all of these dynamics, these thermodynamic principles, heat, steam, pressure, energy, he figured out. Okay. And the result we see now is that not only, and thousands of corporations became, like, within 3 months, changed the whole financial destiny, again, not just of America, okay, but also the entire world. Because when they teach you in the history books about the Industrial Revolution, they teach you about capitalists who made money off of the corporations that used the inventions of our great brothers and sisters.
Yes, indeed. So
all they did was, and basically that's a form of robbery. Let's call it for what it is. So when it got to a point, and I want to point out something else too, is that because of this invention, now they were able to get their products or whatever they were trying to deliver where it needed to go. We're talking about in maybe half a day as opposed to 4 or 5 days. And that in itself changed. Now you have manufacturing companies that's able to increase the productivity of their products because of this one invention that allowed their products to go from state to state, okay, within 1 day's time. Okay, and when you look at how industry operates, this is a tremendous step forward. Okay. Okay, brother, let's go to another visual of him. So amazingly, yes, this is the lubricator. And we talked about, or at least you have in the banner, the saying, the real McCoy. Now, again, I'm going to show you how technology is used when they want to hide our great brothers and sisters' inventions. Whenever you hear the name McCoy, what is that associated with? Some beef between two white neighbors, the Hatfields and the McCoys. So automatically, this is what people learn in history. So our brother's name is usurped for another name. But we know what also happened. A couple things happened after he invented this. And they say that these patents that he actually produced, they had blueprints for modern day engines, which he was not able before his death to actually bring forward. But years after his death, his family found all of these blueprints and this engine, okay, that ran off of, like, you have engines that run today, okay? So he was able to make a product that was in such demand that these major corporations, much like they do today, they stole his invention and they started duplicating inferior products, right? Sort of like how we get things from China that is not authentic, right? But because a certain name is on there, then we look at it as being the real deal. So once people got wind of this, they would say, okay, but we want the real McCoy, okay? We don't want these fake products that you're producing like they do today. They mass produce things that'll break in a month, okay? But as you can look at the sturdiness of this particular invention, it not only revolutionized transportation, but it also opened up other doors, okay, for other industries to use machines, knowing that they can lubricate the machines without having to do it by hand. One of the other things that was disheartening, which plays out in our world today, and this is something that always has always been a part of our existence, and we know this comes from the house ninja and the field ninja concept. But his biggest, so one of the guys that was an apprentice of his and learned under him, named Hawkins, I can't remember his first name, but what he did was he went behind his back, behind Elijah McCoy's back, stole his blueprints and took them to white corporations who he knew could mass produce this more than Elijah McCoy could. And this is, unfortunately, this is what happens. Our people still sell us out for a few fiat, not knowing that you're destroying a whole generation of people, of your people. So you're complicit, you know, with this, okay? So this guy Hawkins eventually sold his blueprint to these people, these corporations that duplicated. And it said that Elijah McCoy, you know, it was like a wake-up call for a lot of us. And a lot of times I hear you talk about this, Lance, as well. is that you just have to walk in silence sometimes.
Yes.
Because the very people that you help and you help elevate, they are the ones that makes you more susceptible to betrayal. And this was a major betrayal. And they said he became quieter. He didn't, socialize with people anymore as much. And I can relate. I know you can relate. A lot of people in the family can relate to this.
Exactly.
This happens all the time in the Black community. Where we'll sell one of our brothers and sisters out to the very devils that have oppressed our people forever in this country and continue to do it without any regards to how this is going to affect generations of Black people. So the other thing that, okay, brother, you can go to another visual.
Okay.
One of the other things too that comes from his life is that when you look at the fact that here's a man that's brilliant, that has changed the world. Yeah, there you see him working in his lab, and also he also started a manufacturing company as well, just like Henry Boyd did, which was tremendous again at that time. I'm not sure. I think it was in Detroit, but he built a manufacturing company. Okay, which he did not have. So he did not have the capital to kind of expand, right? And again, this is something that happens with our people. Thank God now they're seeing the light that you have to use your wealth to expand yourself first, and then everybody else can get in line. And somehow that message has escaped our people for centuries. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, because basically it started in the late 60s or early 70s when we began to integrate. Okay, this is where this happened. Because prior to that, our people always used whatever resources they had, they pooled together. Okay, otherwise you couldn't build a Wall Street or a Rosewood, or all of the towns and cities that we successfully built, banks or what have you, just to have them burned down. Okay, so now thankfully this awakening, being woke, is a tremendous benefit, not only to us but to subsequent generations coming up under us. So this invention was so important that eventually it could not be, and even though they hid who this great Black man was, eventually they could not bury him, his life, and how he changed the world forever. Eventually that story got out. And it's like the old saying, a seed that's crushed in the ground will eventually sprout up. You can't hold truth down forever. Or the old saying, you can't hold a good man down. That's impossible. So and again, I want to go back to this, because you always have these high IQ people that are walking around acting as if they are the ones that constructed the very things that catapulted America and the world into the 21st century. I'm here to tell you they are not. And the sad part about it is so his family, they fought hard, okay, to try to continue his legacy economically or in the business world. But as we know, the capitalists, they shut the door to our people being able to get the financing that they need. Now, I want to say something about this. Anytime you have a de facto nation with the wealth that Black people have, then after a while, you're going to have to ask the question, so why are we still begging the same people for something that we have the ability to do? We know this. We are the greatest consumers, Black people in the world, okay? If you look at the dollar amount. So why can't we finance our own people? Why? Because the Azul system has trained you and the descendants after you that if you are the one that's on the hill with the light shining on you and all the attention is on you, then that's all that matters. See, certain cultures can afford to do that. Particularly the high IQ people, they can afford to do that. Their wealth is 300 times more than ours. When you factor in all the capitalistic abilities that they have. But it doesn't mean that we don't have this same ability. It just means we have to be more shrewd in terms of how we use our dollars, how we look at each other. But this deep-rooted Willie Lynch theology or theory has done such a great number on us, yes, that we are unable to build anything for ourselves. So we have to go right back. Now, imagine the people that took 20 million acres of land, used the Homestead Act, the KKK, and straight out terrorism to take all of your land. Our people and our children have to go right back to these same people to ask them to help them. You see how crazy that is? And that's the position that we find ourselves in. When they talk about things like reparations, the ignorance surrounding this it's deliberate, okay? Because if you just take the first 5 Black inventors that we discussed, then we're talking trillions of dollars that have been produced by our people, that none of them, there are no corporations that bears the name of our great inventors. So like I said all the time, if an alien came here, they would start smoking crack because they'll be trying to figure out how in the world did this happen? How in the world did these brilliant sun people who invented everything that have taken people, the world forward, not make America great again? Because when you're talking about, again, as we explained, taking people back, then you're going against divine laws. So let's get that straight, because a lot of our people like to follow these so-called high IQ people who really are not, but they're masters at trickery and manipulation. And this is something we have to break. Why aren't you teaching your children about Elijah McCOY? All you have to do is tell them about the phrase, the real McCOy. What's up, Queens? What's up, my brother? Break time? So, yeah, so back to this brother. One of the other things too is, here you have, because anytime we run into a problem or an issue, then we don't want to fight through, or we don't want to help one of our brothers and sisters fight through. And again, that's changing. But if this man had the financial backing, which thousands of corporations since have benefited from and their descendants. And I was talking about reparations, why you have a lot of these ignorant, high IQ people that they look at reparations as some type of handout. No, it's not. So what if well, we know this wouldn't happen to the dominant culture, but let's just use this in a metaphorical way. What if you had an ancestor, okay, of European descent that created something, and none of his descendants or her descendants benefited from it, which is not true, because Europeans benefited from anything that was done. Didn't matter who did it. They would be jumping off bridges. Okay, they would be so angry.
Yep.
They would be so angry, and they would be demanding that payment is made. I'm talking about demanding, from the Supreme Court to the Congress of the United States to the president. They would literally be demanding some form of reparation. Okay, and we're not even talking about the cotton, the tobacco, the indigo. We ain't even talking about that. Okay, but when you put those two together, brother, and then to show you how the Creator operates, right, in truth and justice, and the Creatrix, America is about $30 trillion in debt. Could be a little higher. So your GDP every year may be what, 5 trillion? So this is something that can never be made up. So what do you have to do? You have to continue to lie to people. You have to continue to say that racism is the reason why, or us telling some type of history that's not true, which we know is true. We have the proof. We're looking at it. To destroy our history. And boy, let me tell you, when I heard Kwasi Mfume, who I went to Morgan State with, he was actually the president of the Student Government Association, and also eventually became a congressman in Baltimore. And I think he was the first head of the Congressional Black Caucus. But when I heard him speak the other day and let them know that you can't bury our history. In fact, you're not going to bury it, because every time you do, we're going to shout it from the mountaintops. Okay, brother, you can go to another visual.
Okay.
So if you look at his entire life, he had to fight against discrimination. I was making this point earlier where, okay, great. So here we see the prototype of one of the original locomotives. You see that steam, right? But you also, what you don't see is, you don't see the coal that has to go into the furnace to produce this steam in order for this locomotive to move forward. That's what you don't see. And so this drip cup was so revolutionary that once it was introduced into the Industrial Revolution, then everything just took off from there. Okay, my brother. So it's and finally, what I want to say about yes. So there you see his blueprints that was stolen, unfortunately, by another black man and taken to the Azul system. Okay. And a lot of his blueprints and patents, he kept secret after that because, again, it's a sting. Probably one of the hardest things, if not the hardest things to overcome, is betrayal by someone you consider a friend or a family. That is I don't know of anything that would have such a major effect on your ability to move forward than betrayal. And so by someone you know of your own race or your own culture. There's only one race. So here, and again, when I think about the times in which they lived, what they were faced with, when you deliberate, so what happens in human nature? If you know somebody is deliberately trying to hold you back or fight to hold you down, you're going to fight with every ounce you got. But they didn't have that luxury during that time. They couldn't do anything about it. So when they were being held back, discriminated against, they just had to find a different avenue to pursue their creator-given gifts. And kudos to this brother, man. Till the day he transitioned, he fought very hard to educate our people on how we can, move forward with the inventions we already have. That we don't need any type of intervention from anyone else. Believe it or not, and I like to use this story, brother, and I'll close out with this, because again, we can't get around this. Every single comprehension and understanding of life comes from the scripts that our people have, that was beaten into our people from the plantation all the way up to now. Is that he knew that he was being discriminated against. He knew that the people, matter of fact, he knew that he could lose his life if he tried to elevate other Black people. Now think about that too, okay? So this script I often think about is, I believe it was Nehemiah, or it was not Nehemiah. It could have been Nehemiah, but anyway, in the Old Testament, where the creator was saying, well, I want you to build this, okay? And he said, well, I don't have the people with the ability to do the things that I can't do to collaborate in order to build this. And the creator said, hey, you are wrong. I already had, first of all, I'm not going to put something in you that I don't have the support system for you. In other words, you already have the people around you that's going to bring this to manifestation and fruition. But again, one of the things they do with us is they want you to, especially with this narcissistic energy that exists in America.
Yes.
You want to take the credit for everything. So this is why we're unable to collaborate. And again, the people that do this, they can afford to do this. You can't. But the creator has already put people in your life, unbeknownst to you, because you want all the attention from the high IQ people and the rewards that the Azul system give you that can be taken away or destroyed right away or burned up. Okay? So, and keep this in mind. The connections that we have is for a purpose. My connection with Lance, with the family, with other people I know, which is not a whole lot, but it's for a purpose. And it's up to you to be laser focused on that purpose because this is bigger than you and I. Okay. This is an eternal war that somebody has told you, a being that want to be like the Creator is waging, when the people right in your face is doing this to you. And I'll close with that today, brother. I got to start early here at the center.
Yes, indeed, brother. It's been nothing but truth personified in the form of Brother Metamorphosis. And I thank you again for all of the work that you're doing and how you're expanding our minds. Really, you know, I may have heard some of these names the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Going into detail and researching has really helped me out a whole lot. Makes me walk a little taller and more proud.
Oh, yeah. And your descriptions are spot on. And again, I admonish everyone to read it with this video. And the collaboration that we have going on, brother, a lot of times, because we judge things based on what they say. See, one of the things I know about energy, you can say, well, 20 people saw it. But the creatrix said, oh, no, I sent this all over the world.
Right.
They may say that to you. And see, we're not responsible for where this energy is supposed to go. We're so worried about that.
Right.
Okay. We're not responsible.
They get discouraged. Just a few likes or a few hits. You don't know. They control that. They do certain things to discourage you.
Of course they do. Yes.
Exactly. It doesn't stop me.
I know. And boy, I'm so glad that you have that fighter mentality, which you are, that spirit, because it's clear what they're doing to you because of the power in your words and your spirit. This is what they fear the most. And that you can bring out truth, because we know that they operate on straight lies. I don't care what nobody can say. I don't care. You can get mad at me all you want. I'm saying it. They operate off lies. They have taught our people to operate off of lies. But as long as we walk in truth, we're good. Because I know that man cannot control energy. The electromagnetic system and where this goes out, they can't control that. They can tell you that they can, or by the views or whatever. But if, let's say, 20 people see it, and those 20 people talk to 40 people. And see, this is how knowledge compounds.
Right.
And those 40 people talk to 80 people. But they'll show you, well, only 20 people saw this or benefited.
Here's the other thing. One person might listen to you, what you shared today, and beyond the scope of YouTube and any social media, they might go to the barbershop and talk to those people that YouTube and social media can't monitor. So you can't go just on.
That's a good point.
You see
that is a great point. Oh yeah, yeah. That is a great point, brother.
There's a young lady who I know here in Ghana. She travels between America and Ghana, and she has dual citizenship. And before she even met me, she was telling her fiance about the stuff that I do and the whole platform. And he says, oh, yes, I know LanceScurv. I didn't even know them yet.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yes.
And when she bumped into me in person, she's like, oh, my God, you just don't know. Look, all the things that they ever took down, that is push stuff out there in a way they can't monitor. You can't stop it.
Brother, you cannot control the electromagnetic system. You better worry about how hot it's going to get. Okay. Because the sun ain't playing right now. The creator's not playing.
And let me tell you, there are people who I knew as a child that I don't even know their names. I remember their faces, that I was around with my mother and my father, and they poured into me certain things that I've gone and researched later on and continue to go on long before there was any social media. So we got to stop thinking that's the end all and cure all for our knowledge. Look, the stuff that I'll put together, it's all scattered. You see, they do that. They don't have it in one piece.
Yeah,
they scatter
I know.
it.
Yeah.
If I give you a nutritious meal in a plate and throw the plate out in the street and everything is all over the place, Most people are not going to gather that back up. It's in the dirt, it's here, it's there. But if I go out there and research and put things together in one place, of course they're going to make it seem like it's not going out. But the job is done.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. Though.
Well, my brother, great sharing with you. I got a class of people waiting on.
Yes, yes.
And again, thank you, brother. It's so good sharing with you guys today. And I look forward to hooking up with you again next week. I'll be in touch with you this week.
Most definitely. Next week.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace and blessings.
Always. You know it. You know it.